Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I'm Dr. Sudhanshu Joshi from Doon University, Dehradun. Today we are going to talk on module Strategic Issues in Non-Profit Organization from paper Strategic Management. After completing this module, you will be able to know the significance of voluntarily non-profit sector in India. To understand why voluntary non-profit sector has begun adopting strategic management models and tools, how important it is for voluntarily non-profit organization to demonstrate. Now, let us understand why strategic management in NGOs or non-government organization is important. They are the times of tremendous change and therefore tremendous opportunities. It's equally good for NGOs like any profit-making organization has. The traditional boundaries between the non-profit and profit-making organizations are getting changed. Given the complexity of non-profit leadership, strategic discipline is essential. What are non-profit organizations? Organizations which enjoy tax exemption status as a result of being organized to serve a broad public interest comes under the category of non-profit organizations. In economic terms, a non-profit organization uses its surplus revenue to further achieve its purpose or mission rather than distributing its surplus income to the organization shareholders or equivalents as profit or dividend. This is known as non-distributed constraints. The decision to adopt a non-profit legal structure is one that will often have taxation implication, particularly where the non-profit seeks income tax exemption, charitable status, and so on. Objectives and goals of non-profit organizations. Some non-profit organization may also be a charity or service organization. They may be organized as profit corporation or a trust or a corporation, or they exist informally. A very similar type of organization terms as supporting organization operate like foundations, but they are more complicated to administrate, hold more favorable tax status, and are restricted in the public charity they support. The goal is not to be successful in terms of wealth, but in terms of giving value to the group of people they administrate to. Now let us talk about the types of non-profit organizations. In Indian context, we have three categories or types of non-profit organizations. First is trust. The public charitable trust is a possible form of non-profit organization entity in India. Typically, public charitable trust can be established for a number of purposes, including the relief of poverty, education, medical relief, provision of facilities for recreation, and any other object of general public utility. Indian public trusts are generally irrevocable. No national law governs public charitable trusts in India, although many states, particularly Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, and Madhya Pradesh, have public trust acts. Second types of non-profit organizations are societies. Societies are membership organizations that may be registered for charitable purposes. Societies are usually managed by a governing council or a managing committee. Societies are governed by Societies Regulation Act 1860, which has been adopted by various states. Unlike trusts, societies may be dissolved. The third type of non-profit organizations could be the companies which are registered through Section 8. A Section 8 company, also known as Old Section 25 company, is a company with limited liability that may be formed for promoting commerce, art, science, religion, charity, or any other useful object, provided that no profit, if any, or any income derived through promoting the company's objects may be distributed in any other form to its members. Figure first shows the type of organization in and around the social economy. It illustrates that from economic goal or private benefits to mixed goal or mutual benefits, or for social goals or other public benefits, vis-a-vis informal grouping, institutional and bureaucracy, we have lot many of economies or forms. So if you talk about the hidden economy, which are basically the part of economic goals and private benefits, which are the informal groups, followed to natural economy, which is reflection of mixed goal and mutual benefits in terms of informal grouping. Then we have the setup of small and medium enterprises, which is a combination of economic goals and private benefits, vis-a-vis institution and bureaucracy. Whereas economic goals and private benefits and its match with the institution and bureaucracy could be in the form of corporate sector, which is the upliftment of small and medium enterprises. Whereas if you talk about social goals and public benefit in terms of informal grouping, then we have social economies where NGOs are the part, non-government organizations could be the part of it. They are the large non-statutory agencies, small units within the statutory systems, or they could be the independent care providers or any school, for instance. And if you go with the maximum in terms of social goals and other public benefits, maximum institutional structure, then public sector comes in. Any public sector limited unit could be the part of it. Formation and structure of NGO. In India, non-government organizations are the most common type of socialized institutions that do not have commercial interest. However, they are not the only categories of non-commercial organizations that can gain official recognition. For example, memorial trusts, which honor renowned individuals through social work, may not be considered as NGOs. In India, context NGO is considered as an institution that carries human values, system values. It could have open business system model, internal process model, or rational goal model. If we compare in terms of the output quality, we may have four set of value system. The first set of value system will be human relation model, where means are cohesive and moral, and it ends with the objective of human resource development. Whereas open system models could be the means of flexibility and readiness, and with the objective of or the outcome with the growth and the resource acquisition. It could be the business firms. Rational goal models could be have the mean of planning and goal setting, and they ends up with productivity and efficiency. They also profit-making businesses could be the part of this. Internal process model could have the means of information management and communication, and their ends objective will be stability and control. So out of the quality as an outcome, we can realize through this diagram that generally the NGO follows with the human relation models or internal process model, whereas open system model and rational goals model goes with profit-making firms. The non-profit world has been experiencing significant changes, increasing privatization of government services, including education, healthcare, social services, arts, etc. Increasing financial pressures on non-profits, increasing concern about efficacy of non-profits, increasing corporate social responsibility initiatives and funds, and other trends. Now, some of the management challenges that non-profit organizations or enterprises are facing are defining and measuring success, economic stability, growth, which is a substantial goal for any organization including NGOs, raising funds. The difficulty with NGOs is they can't sell firms' shares. Attracting and motivating people, given the often limited resources and non-distribution constraints. NGOs can't share profit-based incentives. Strategic management in NGOs. Out of this framework, which is being introduced by Courtney in 2002, We can understand the strategic planning pyramid, where mission in terms of vision and value is an apex of the pyramid, followed by long-term aims, strategic priorities, measurable performance indicator, annual operational objectives, resource requirement through physical, human and financial resources, and monitoring and rolling operating planning arrangements and the related rosters and timetable. The mission of the non-profit organization. If we go with the mission of non-profit organization, it serves a broader function, serves to attract and motivate stakeholders, especially the donors, staff and clients, should help in the process of evaluation. The challenge could be to create a mission statement that is specific enough to inspire, but sufficiently broader to allow strategic redirection. A non-profit's theory of change. We need to understand the non-profit theory of change in order to understand how strategic management can take care in NGO. And what this theory of changes says is, suppose this argument that how organizations' intended impact will actually happen. In other words, why will the organization's approach bring about the desired change? To clarify the non-profit's theory of change, the stakeholder has to ask, what are the most important elements of our program? What assumption led us to choose these particular program elements? Therefore, a non-profit intended impact provides a bridge between mission and programs. Intended impacts is a statement about what the organization is trying to achieve and will hold itself accountable for within a period of time. It identifies both the benefits of the organization seeking and the beneficiaries. To clarify an organization's intended impact, ask who are the beneficiaries? What benefits do our program create? What won't we do? Determining strategic priorities in the next step. Looking at the current program. How do they align with the mission, intent, impact and theory of change? How much do they cost per outcome? Do they play with the organization's strength? How do they compare with the peers? Change that should be made in terms of modification, in terms of adding new values, or maybe the discontinuation of the existing programs. Resource implication, human and infrastructure. What will it cost to implement? What are the gaps? Financial projection for new strategy. We have to have a scenario planning to match the resources. Performance measure. We need to recollect data by putting up the suitable indicators, and you should have the program milestones in terms of quality and quantity. They must have the operational milestones in terms of human resource and infrastructure. They must have the financial milestones also in terms of the budgets. Functions of NPO in lieu with strategic management. NPO have a wide diversity of structure and purposes. For legal classification, there are nevertheless some elements of importance, including management provisions, including accountability and auditing provisions. It also includes provisionary for amendment of statutes or articles of incorporation. It also includes provision for dissolution of the entity. Also, tax statutes for corporates and private donors. And last but not least, tax status of the founders. Benefits of using strategy in NGO. Now, the potential benefit of using strategies in NGO could be planning tools and techniques in non-volunteer organizations give them an opportunity for identifying, evaluating, and capturing market value, identification of threat, evaluation and avoidance of threat with corrective action. Contingency plan can be established for what to do in the event of a potential threat actually being realized. Difficult scenarios can be explored so an organization can be prepared for different eventualities. Internal strength and unique selling points are identified and built on. Internal weaknesses are identified and corrected, compensated for, or impact of them can be minimized. Besides this, the purpose and direction of an organization is clarified so everyone is pulling in the same direction. The distinguished culture or distinct culture, values, principle of the organization, that is the way we do things around here, is clarified and built on. Clear, achievable objectives, standards are identified that people can work together and known if they have been achieved. Various strategic management techniques for non-profit organization. The purpose behind adoption of strategic management techniques is to increase the productivity and efficiency of the NGO. We are presenting one model by Kushner and Poole, 1996, as a generic model for non-profit effectiveness, where organization effectiveness is being carried by constituted satisfaction, resource mobilization, its acquisition, and resource effectiveness, which leads to internal process effectiveness, which leads to organization effectiveness. There are many of constraints that NGOs can face while formulating the strategic management. The first constraint is services being intangible or hard to measure. Client influence may be weak, or strong employee commitment to professionals. There could be three constraints. There may be additional constraints while adopting strategic management tools in an NGO, including resource contribution, intrude on internal management, restraint on use of rewards and punishment. There could be complication in terms of formulating strategy for NGO, including goal conflict interfere versus rational planning, integrating planning focus and its shifts, ambiguous operation objectives, or simplifying detailed planning, which adds to rigidity. It's very complicated for NGOs to evaluate the strategy. There may be few complications including rewards and penalties, because in NGOs, being its structure, there's no relationship in terms of rewards and penalty and performances. Input is more important than output, and inputs could be heavily controlled. So it will mismatch with the NGO's objectives and rationality of being an NGO. Not-for-profit strategies. The suggested not-for-profit strategies for NGOs could be strategic piggybacking, social entrepreneurship, mergers, or strategic alliances. So students, let's now summarize what we have learned in this module. This module has highlighted the significance of voluntarily non-profit sectors, which now impact on almost all aspects of our life. The growth of the sector has been mirrored by increasing expectation of the management of the sector by funders, by beneficiaries, and by public. This has resulted in the increasing professionalization of the management of voluntarily non-profit organization, including the adoption of strategic management. The module has also explained or highlighted the range of meaning given to the word strategy and the need to distinguish between the concept of strategy and that of planning. There were several factors which are being assessed in this module, including customer, context, technology, provider markets, business market, economy, and regulatory environment in terms of NGOs. Thank you.